It is 9:30 a.m. on time for the hearing board to convene relative to matters that are before the public. Today, and just for the record, we do have a quorum, 5 board members are present. Let the record clearly reflect that. The first matter on the calendar that we'll take is a consent matter that is before the board with respect to Thermal Solutions Manufacturing, Inc. facility ID number.
Can we do that last because the parties are here?
No, we're gonna do it now. We're gonna do it now. Facility ID number 172808. It matters on consent calendar. Is there any discussion or deliberation before we proceed to a vote?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, the case number before the body today is case number 6255-3. It's a stipulation, and the matters on the consent calendar, as previously stated, the facility ID number is 172808. Members of the board, discussion, Mr. Pierman.
Chair and clerk, do we need to identify the exhibits, or that's already part of the record because they were filed with the clerk?
that's up to Mr. Chair.
Yes, no, the exhibits were filed, so Madam Clerk, it would seem the reason that it would be included within the overall filing.
You just need to identify what numbers you need to present all the exhibits. We would be starting for the petitioner without act number 1. And then for the district or respondent exhibit would be the letter B as in boy.
All right, so Madam Clerk, would you detail the exhibits for the record?
General process, the stipulations to place the matter on the consent calendar would be number 1. Our declaration of Bill Winchester would be number 2. And the proposed finding and decision would be number 3. And then we have a hearing board 1 where there were some questions and to the parties, and that would be hearing board 1. It would be 1.
Madam, there were 2 from different board members.
Yes.
There was one from Mr. Payman, one from
All
myself.
right, so HB1 would be the Balakapalon, which is dated July 3rd, 2024 at 1:42 p.m. And then HB2 would be the Pierman document, which is dated July 3rd, 2024 at 10:56 a.m.
Madam Clerk, there was also another document that was submitted by the petitioner, and I asked in my question whether they want that as exhibit. It was in response to the previous hearing. They submitted a permit application and they sent all the board members the documents. And the petitioner said, yes, include it as an exhibit. It's the permit application. And I have the date. It was, I think it was in my question. And the board members read the, hold on. Yeah, June 14, 2023, the petitioner had submitted a permit application package. So they wanted that marked as an exhibit also.
Okay. Because you have the permit for the tax.
No, this was a separate package, yeah.
June 14, 2023 submission, right?
Yeah, right, right. And I did ask them if they wanted that as an exhibit. They said yes, you know.
Okay, so that'll be number
That would be my sort of.
4, number 4.
So with that, Chair, I just say definitely good cause exists for granting this regular variance on conditions set forth. They answered my question satisfactorily, as well as apparently those of Mr. Balakapan.
Mr. Balakapalan?
Because this is a request for regular variance, we have to make the 6 finding, not the good cause, Mr. Payment. So we'll have to go through, the 6 cause. They did a good job of laying out the findings for the 6 findings we have to make for granting the regular variance. I think and I'll just, for those who may be listening in, they came before us for an interim variance, then the board granted it on May 3rd, 2024, as articulated. And this is a lead source, it's emissions of lead. Even though it's a small amount, it's still lead is a toxic and contaminant. However, I think this was a question that Mr. Pearman had for them too. They did a tier 2 risk assessment. When they came here before the interim, they had some problems with the worker residential risk, but then they've since then recalculated. It showed that the risk to the resident is 1.25 10 to the power minus 8, and to the worker is 5.87 10 to the power minus 7. They're significantly below the 1 in a million risk for both the worker and the residents. And I think hopefully they model with the rain cap removed, so there's better dispersion. So, and they are in the process of acquiring a control system to reduce the lead, so that'll reduce it even further than what is hopefully what's allowed, 0.0003 pounds per hour. And I think the 6 findings have been laid out already. That one, that they are in violation of rule permit condition, and and rule 1420 and rule 203B, and because they're emitting lead higher than what is allowed in rule 1420, that the non-compliance was beyond the reasonable control. I think they've already identified that when they did the test showed a number that was higher than what is allowed. And even though previously they tested and they were in compliance, so that was part of the issue they had, and it was beyond their non-compliance. The closing or taking with our corresponding benefit, while the risk is quite low based on what they did their tier 2 risk assessment. So the harm to the petitioner will be overweigh the benefit, the impact to the community. And they have their conditions to limit their usage, so they have given consideration to curtailing the operation. And then they will, during the period, they will monitor the lead emission. The lead emission is approximately 0.002 pounds per day. So I think there's I did add a condition that they pay the fees initially monthly, but then it was changed to quarterly.
Excuse me, sir, gentlemen, if you want to have a discussion, I'd encourage you to take it out to the lobby. Mr. Balakapalan, carry on.
Well, I just going through the 6 conditions. So as Mr. Payman indicated, it's in the document. They have demonstrated the necessary findings to grant the regular variance.
Any other discussion? Any other comments with respect to good cause or any other perspective relative to the matter? All right, Mr. Balakapalan, would you like to entertain a motion?
Sure. In the matter of thermal solution manufacturing case number 6255-3, I move that we grant a regular variance commencing today and continuing through May 20th, 2025 from Rule 1420 and 203B as for the petitioner equipment that is located at get my 1390 South Tippecanoe Avenue, Suite B in San Bernardino, for the equipment that is for the lead pot, which is identified in the permit G2 6164, and they're subject to the condition as listed in the proposed finding and decision document. I believe it's number 3. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and the lead emission during this is approximately, is indicated 0.00189 pounds per day. And with that, I might conclude my motion.
Is there a second to the motion as proffered? Mr. Pearman has been properly moved by Mr. Balakapalan and seconded by Mr. Pearman. Any further question or discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Dr. Abraham.
Aye.
Vote. Ms. Verdugo Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Balakapalan.
Aye.
Mr. Pearman.
Aye.
Ali, voting in the affirmative, it's a unanimous decision. Thank you very kindly. That matter has now been closed.
Sorry, just notice, oh, it's close time. Out of.
Okay.
No, I got double billing on the proposed finding and decision document, want to remove my name to, on the list of, anyway.
Okay.
I just highlighted, I forgot to mention it.
We'll note the amendment as stated by Mr. Balakapalan, and the clerk will correct the record accordingly. Moving to the next matter before the body. We have before us the County of Los Angeles. I do believe that we have some individuals who would testify. Why don't you state your name for the record?
Yes, good morning. My name is Jason Carnevale. I'm with the Los Angeles County Council's office, and I'm here with Mr. Ross Galang of the Los Angeles County Internal Services Department.
And I would assume the gentleman will be testifying.
Yes, he will. Or at least he's available to answer.
Okay, so why don't we go ahead and administer the oath corporately? Mr. Dryer?
I have several district employees that are in the audience as well. They can also take the oath at the same
Okay.
time.
So why don't we stand? Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly do you solemnly state under the penalty of perjury that the evidence that you shall give in this issue should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, let the record reflect that there, hold on, 5, 4, 5, there's 6 individuals who've accepted the oath, 1 on the Los Angeles County side, 5 on the AQMD side. All right, thank you very kindly. Thank you, sir. All right, just as a preface, this matter has been before the board on numerous occasions. The case number is 6127. It's the Los Angeles County, the Internal Services Department of the County of Los Angeles, and they're seeking a regular variance. I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to you, Counselor.
Okay. Yes. So yes, board members, we're here today because the county is requesting that the AQMD grant a variance from its current permit for the use of the generator at the Puente Hills Nike microwave site. Now, this site serves as a hub connecting all other sites providing radio communications to Eastern LA County. And if I could call the board's attention to Exhibit B, this is a site location. Have you? Okay. Actually, Mr. Galang is going to pass out copies of the exhibits to the board members. I'm sorry, I thought that the exhibits had already been distributed.
Number 8, number 1 for the petition. It would be numbers for the petition.
Okay. So I'm sorry, we'd have to renumber all of these because we have them all in A, B, C, D. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and pass them out.
Yeah, you can pass them on, and we'll just simply, to expedite the process and move a little bit efficiently, we'll go ahead and we'll number them as well.
Okay.
So essentially, your A is 1,
Yes.
and on down the line, okay?
Short 17. They're all in set.
Can I get a copy as well?
Two. Okay, so we're gonna have, what the counselor just you walk us through the exhibits, but just for the record, the exhibit A on this page now becomes number 1, which is site information. The site location is exhibit B, that becomes number 2. Exhibit C is the CPUC fire threat map, becomes number 3. Exhibit D becomes number 4, which is the generator unit. Exhibit E becomes number 5, which is the generator activity details. Exhibit F becomes Exhibit 6, which is the generator console information. And then Exhibit G becomes Exhibit 7, which is the maintenance log. Are we clear for the record, Madam Clerk? Thank you very kindly. Counselor.
Okay. So Exhibit A gives some basic facts just about the site, about the generator itself.
You mean Exhibit 1?
Exhibit 1, yes, I'm sorry. As I was saying earlier, if I could call the board's attention to Exhibit 2, which is of course labeled as Exhibit B. This is a satellite map showing the location of the Puente Hills Nike microwave site, along with some aerial photos of the site itself. Now this site, it provides radio communication services to county fire, county sheriff, the California Highway Patrol, as well as other internal county communication systems. Now the generator was installed in 2014 and it's basically used for emergencies, so specifically as backup for the site when commercial power is shut off. And currently commercial power is provided by Edison. And if I may call your attention to Exhibit 4, this is a picture of the generator itself and its housing on the site. The first picture is showing the housing, and then inside the housing is the picture down below of the blue generator itself. Now, the ongoing issue with this site, along with others like it, which is why the county keeps coming back to ask for variances, is that Edison will shut down the power to these facilities for a variety of reasons. Now, most recently, Edison shut down power on May 13th due to a planned infrastructure upgrade, and the power was not restored until May 21st. So that's about 8 days of no power at the site, and so the generator was running during that entire time period. Now, as we've seen in the past, and the county has, as I said, brought this to the board's attention previously, Edison will also shut down power during periods of high winds because of the concern over brush fires. So if I may call the board's attention to Exhibit 3, which is the fire threat map, you can see where the facility, which is located where it says PHN with a blue dot, is located on the fire threat map, and it's in the middle of a red area, which according to the chart is considered an extreme or tier 3 fire threat, which is the highest level of risk of a brush fire. So, I mean, at this point, it's July, it's hot, we're definitely in fire season now, and I mean, then this is likely going to continue through the fall until we get our seasonal rain, the extent we get rain in 2024, as well as colder temperatures. So right now we're anticipating that there are going to be further shutdowns, which means that the county is going to be obligated to make use of that generator during those shutdowns. So now if I may refer the board to Exhibit 5, this is the generator runtime log for 2024 between January 1st and ending June 28th. As you can see, on New Year's Day, the meter on the generator had clocked 137 hours, but as of June 28th, the meter was showing 325.5 hours. That's on the actual meter runtime. Now, two columns over where it says year-to-date runtime, if we start at 0 on New Year's Eve, 2023, as of June 28th, we were at 188.5 hours. And this is barely, not even 7 months into the year, and we're already about 12 hours short of the 200 that is allowed by permit. So if you look at Exhibit 6, that is a picture of the meter itself, and it's a little faint, but if you look closely, you can see the digital display showing engine hours 325.5 hours. And then Exhibit 7 is the generator maintenance logs, which these simply show the maintenance that was done on the generator during the course of this year. And as indicated on Exhibit 5, the generator does have to run during those regularly scheduled maintenance periods. It's not very long, and you can see I think we had a maintenance on March 22nd, May 13th, and June 28th. And it looks like it was about 0.5 hours and a 10-hour on, let's see, 0.5 hours and then 0.4 hours on June 28th. And then we had a 10-hour on May 13th, but that was the maintenance and the Edison infrastructure as well. They're shut down. So basically, the county's coming to the board today with the intent on being proactive. I mean, as I said, the generator has not yet exceeded its permitted annual 200 hours. But based on what we've already seen this year with the Edison plan shutdown, as well as what the county is anticipating in shutdowns over the next several months before the end of 2024, the county believes that this generator will easily exceed 200 hours this year. I mean, possibly even before the end of August, depending on if we get continued high heat and we get any Santa Ana wind conditions. I mean, if we get any days of high winds, that power will be shut off to the facility probably for the entire day or even for a week or so. And so, and the problem that we have is that, the county cannot just cease operation of the generator. I mean, this is a critical facility. As I said, it provides radio and other communication services to first responders throughout the eastern half of LA County. And it also acts as a hub to connect to other LA County microwave sites, which are located throughout the county, but it connects those to the eastern region of the county. So as such, the county needs power to this facility at all times. I mean, if Edison shuts off the power, then we need to use the generator to keep the facility up and running. And so that's why we're requesting this variance so that the county can continue running the generator when necessary, even if we exceed the 200 hours allowed by the permit. Now, this board in the last few days has graciously extended to us a series of conditions under which a regular variance would be granted, and the county has agreed to all of these conditions. So at this time, I don't have any prepared questions for Mr. Galang, but he is available to answer questions of this board, and of council regarding this issue and the variance.
Mrs. Dwyer. Mr. Dwyer?
Hello, everyone. Nick Dwyer on behalf of the district, on behalf of the executive officer. I have next to me a legal intern, Evelyn Torres Callejas, and she's actually going to give a brief opening statement. We think it'd be a great opportunity for her.
I think it'd be a fabulous opportunity,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
ma'am.
Does the district have any proposed conditions?
Yes, let me hand those over. These
What about it? And what about exhibits? Are there?
just the proposed conditions.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
And Mr. Dwyer, these are stipulated, correct? Just for the record.
These were agreed upon by the parties. They've been circulated and both parties have had the opportunity to make changes if necessary.
Ms. Torres will walk us through, she'll walk us through the document as well, is it correct?
We have witnesses that are available to go over any of the conditions if the board wishes to ask any questions about any particular conditions.
All right, Ms. Torres, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning, board members. The matter before you today is a petition for a regular variance seeking relief for emergency generators from the permit condition, which limits operation to no more than 200 hours in a year. And as the petitioners highlighted, a variance is required to operate the generator beyond permit limits, to power critical first responder radio systems and other services in LA County. In light of the information provided in the petition, to the proposed conditions and the evidence presented today, the district is unopposed to this variance request, and the district does not plan to affirmatively call any witnesses, but as Nick stated, we do have available district staff from compliance and engineering today. Should the board have any questions for them? Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Madam Clerk.
Yes, can I have the attorney give her name, spell it for the record for me, please?
Well, she's not quite an attorney yet, but
Okay.
she's in law school, but she can provide her name and spell it out for
And
the
also,
record.
and just give you your title, which is intern, legal intern, correct? Okay.
So very briefly, my name is Evelyn Torres Callejas, and I am a legal intern. Yes, Torres Torres and Callejas Callejas.
All right. Mr. Dwyer,
We'll turn it over to the board if they have any
fair
questions.
enough. Members of the board.
Well, are there going to be questions from either the county of LA? Do you have questions from the AQMD before it comes to the board?
Well, if the county wants to go over any of the exhibits, maybe with their witness to.
Yeah, but just to be very clear, right, the counselor stated that that he agreed and that these items were stipulated, that both have been circulated. So I would assume that there would not be many questions back and forth. Right, just want to be very clear. Do you have any questions? Because
No, I don't have any questions.
fair enough, which is what I assumed. Members of the board, any perspectives or thoughts on your side?
Well, if the district has any questions, and ask first.
Right, but the district, okay, Mr. Dwyer stated that he didn't have any questions, and the county's council stated they didn't have any questions. Just want to be clear for the record, they do not have questions, right?
Okay, in that case, then.
Right.
Then I
Go
can-
right ahead, Mr. Balaka Palan,
I
right?
have a question for Mr. Guy.
Absolutely, the floor is yours, Mr. Balaka Palan.
Mr. Guy, yes, question for you. I know the record you gave us showed as of June 28th, 188 hours. Subsequent today's, has the engine run subsequent to that record did you provided?
No,
No,
still
so
the same number
still
as of
the same
today.
number. Okay. And now the other question had is on the proposed condition, exhibit A, the condition number 3. Pay the fees. So as of now, you're not exceeding the 200 hours, but when you do, there will be excess emission. Would you have an issue if I were to propose a condition that you pay all the fees by January 2025? Any excess emission fees?
Yes, we will comply on the conditions here.
No, if I propose an alternate condition to pay all excess emission fee by January 2025, would that be an issue for the county?
No, that won't be an issue.
Okay.
No objection to that revision if
Okay.
you propose it.
All right. Yeah, and I have no further questions.
Any additional questions from members of the board? Ms. Verdugo Peralta?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to clarify on exhibit number 3, the California Public Utility Commission Fire Threat Map in reference to the Public Safety Power Shutoff, which is PSPS program from the Southern California Edison Company. And the fact that we're aware that they can call it at any time should there be any high winds, and even if it's the smallest little area that we're looking at the map, there's a possibility, as you stated, that they're going to be coming back with this, and you're going to be coming back to us from time to time, based on the fact that you're probably going to exceed those 200 hours. But I just wanted to clarify that it is PSPS is a program that Edison does have in force for any of the areas that are in the fire, what's designated as fire. And the other thing I wanted to state is, even though they have this map, according to the state of California, this is not a correct map. The fire areas that they have identified are not true fire areas, as stated by the state. So if you want to question that, you would have to go to the state, because if you're not within that area, they don't really have the right to shut you off. So I just wanted to let you know about that. That's the only statement I
Thank
have.
you. Any additional comments from members of the board relative to this matter? All right, Counselor, closing?
Well, I just wanted to thank the board for their time today and for listening to our, to what we have to say in our request. We hope that the board will grant the variance that we're requesting, and then hopefully we'll be able to keep the hours low. But again, that's going to depend on, what kind of shutdowns we get from Edison. So thank you.
Mr. Dwyer or Ms. Torres?
Oh, no, once again, we remain unopposed to the variance request. So,
Thank you very kindly. All right, members of the board. Mr. Pearman?
I agree. We've seen this before, and I think given the circumstances, they meet the test that going over the limit is imminent enough that we can grant the variance. Thank you.
Any additional comments? Mr. Balakapalan, we'll take you last because I know you have some amendments. Any additional comments? Okay, Mr. Balakapalan.
I was going to make the 6 findings.
No, go right ahead. Make the 6 findings as well as your amendments when we get to the motion. Okay.
Yeah, so as Mr. Bevan indicated, they're not in violation, but they will probably be imminent, they're imminent, could be in violation because they're 12 hours away from exceeding the 200 hours, which is the limit on the permit. So they satisfy the first finding, the violation or will be, and non-compliant is beyond the control as because of the shutdown by Edison that they have just operated. The closing or taking would be without the harm to the petitioner and the community that depends on this the tower is always outweighs the emissions associated with it. The emissions are not, and while it's a pretty large engine, but it's in a remote area, the emissions are not that high, and if they operate an hour a day or a couple hours, the harm is not that significant to the public. They have petitioners given consideration to curtailing operations, so as indicated in the condition, they will only operate the engine for testing and maintenance over 1 hour a month, unless it's an emergency, then all bets are off. So during the period, the petition will reduce excess emission by limiting to 1 hour. They're limiting the emissions. And the last one, as we've seen in the exhibit, that petitioner will monitor otherwise quantify emission level. They have a very good record keeping and maintenance log as was provided. And so the petition will continue to do that. And they have also provided calculations. Actually, the petition And here, also in the proposed exhibit, emission factors to use to calculate excess emission. And I think so they will monitor and quantify emissions and report to the district. So I think I could find that we grant the regular variance as they meet all the 6 findings, repetitive 6 findings.
Any comments associated to the items as presented by Mr. Balakapalan? All right, hearing none. I'd like to entertain a motion, sir. Care to entertain a motion?
Does somebody else?
Okay, is any,
Can I?
Absolutely.
Just a couple quick
Right ahead.
comments. One question that I didn't, not a question, but a statement. Maybe we can digitize some of the record keeping. I'm just curious if that's the logbook and if there is, threats of fire, for example, or other issues. I'm just curious about the record keeping and if that comes into question. Also, just the automation of some of these records. So I just wanted to bring that up and just keep that on the radar, just so that, if that book was lost, for example, or given the technologies and ways to automate some of these processes, are we looking at ways to improve maintenance and record keeping at the site? So just want to make that point. With that, I can make the motion.
absolutely, go right ahead.
All right, so in the matter of, give me one moment here. The matter of the County of Los Angeles Internal Services Department, case number 6127-7, regarding facility ID 179053. Located at Puente Hills Nike Microwave Site, 18794 Vantage Point Drive, Roland Heights, 91748. We move that we grant this regular variance as requested, and as previously stated, for all of the reasons that Mr. Balagopalan had stated, that they met all the conditions. This would be, as we know, they'll be in violation of the rule exceeding 200 hours shortly. So this is regarding equipment emergency generator 571180G34079. And we move that we grant the regular variance as presented and agreed upon by both parties, with the addition that Mr. Balagopalan made regarding the payment of fees by January 31st, 2025.
Yeah. Just a friendly amendment, I just want to state for the record the rules 203B and condition number 4 of the permit that was mentioned, G34079.
Sure, thank you.
Is there a second to his motion?
I have another friendly amendment that we haven't marked the exhibit of the conditions, which should be Exhibit A.
I think we did.
No,
We did.
Madam Clerk,
That'll be part of the record.
you have that,
But I do have that, as he stated, it wasn't previously marked. That was just the conditions from the respondent, which is Exhibit A. Or would be.
Would be.
any additional amendments? Is there a second to his motion?
The excess emission, I don't know if you want to mention that, for him. It's in the,
It's in the conditions.
no, that's emission factors, but not the actual emissions. In the petition, they quantify that, the excess emission.
Give me 1 second here.
So just reference,
If you can find, I can go ahead and
go right ahead,
just
sir.
mention it, Dr. Abraham, if you want me to. So,
You see, go right ahead, Mr. Balakapalan.
well, he's looking, so I was going to give it his thing, if he wants to do that.
All right, so they have in their initial petition, number 19, listed the various pollutants and the total estimated excess emissions. Let's see, and then pollutant values converted from, okay. So the net emissions after mitigation, should I actually list each number? Is that what you're looking for, Mr. Balagopalan? Okay, so for hydrocarbons was at 4.394, NOx 183.360, carbon monoxide 17.976, and for PM 3.996. That would be the excess submissions.
It all second the motion.
Okay, let the record reflect that the motion was moved by Mr. Abraham with amendments in case therein, seconded by Mr. Balakaplan. Any further discussion on the motion? Let the record reflect that there's none. On the roll call, Dr. Abraham,
Aye.
Ms. Verdugo Peralta,
Aye.
Mr. Balakapalan.
Aye.
Mr. Pearman.
Aye.
Ali votes aye. The matter has been approved unanimously. Have a phenomenal day. Representatives of Los Angeles County.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dwyer, as well as Ms. Torres. So I assume you're counselor for the next case. All right, okay. We have you all morning. All right. As Los Angeles County clears out and EMD Specialty Materials LLC revs up to make their way to sit at the petitioner's side. The matter that is before the body today is case number 6260-1, facility ID number 194343. This is an interim as well as a regular. Right, EMD, do you have any exhibits?
There may be something that district council submitted to the board a couple days ago, which were agreed upon operating conditions.
Okay, very well, very well. So why don't you introduce yourselves, gentlemen? Who do we have with us?
Good morning, I'm Richard Corrett. I'm Technical Director for Arlon. Good morning, I'm Richard Corrett, Technical Director for Arlon. Oh, I apologize. All right. Good morning, I'm the Technical Director for Arlon Electronics LLC. Sorry? Richard Corrett.
Richard Corrett, all right. And the next individual?
Bruce Armbruster, Directing Consultant with All Four Environmental.
And Counselor, your name?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Christopher Foster on behalf of the petitioner.
And you're the attorney, I surmise?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then on representing the district?
Nick Dwyer on behalf of the district, along with
Evelyn Torres Callejas on behalf of the district.
Madam Chair, do we need any spelling of names?
Yes.
For Mr. Arlone, I think,
Correct.
if you could spell that for me, please.
Corrett is Corrette.
Need to take the oath.
Okay, yes, we're gonna do that.
Okay.
All right. So just before we go forward, there are some exhibits from the district. The petitioner side said that there were some exhibits. Perfect.
Respondents Exhibit A,
Okay, very well.
proposed conditions.
All right, if we can pass those out. And this exhibit will be A. Okay, for the record, Madam Clerk, this exhibit is A. All right, on to the oath of office. Just so we're clear, all individuals taking the oath, if you would simply rise and raise your right hand.
For the record, the district's witnesses have already risen
Okay,
previously.
Perfect, perfect. Just want to say that for the record, we will bring that over in this particular case. So the two gentlemen before you, or before us rather, do you solemnly state under the penalty of perjury that the evidence you will give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you very kindly, gentlemen. All right, Counselor, Floor is yours, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Petitioner is here this morning seeking an interim variance with respect to a violation of Rule 1147 and its permit relating to a low NOx burner. We'll have testimony this morning that will demonstrate the required good cause for granting the interim variance, as well as allowing the board to make the 6 findings that
Any
are
comments
called.
Before he goes, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just to remind him that
Counselor.
this is interim, so we have to first have a finding that, the shortened notice is required before we actually deal with the merits of the 6 findings. So try and keep that in mind.
Yes, thank you. Again, the good cause, the testimony will demonstrate the good cause required for an interim variance, as well as allowing the board to make the 6 findings pursuant to Health and Safety Code Section 42-352. So with that, I'm happy to begin the testimony with respect to good cause.
Go right ahead, sir.
Mr. Corrett, can you?
I'm sorry.
I think I should give my opening statement
I'm
first.
sorry. Go right ahead, Mr. Dwyer.
Before you today, I agree, we have an interim variance, and so good cause will need to be shown first. Petitioner is seeking relief from the NOx emissions associated with a malfunctioning low NOx burner that is within an oven that has 6 heating zones and is part of a fiberglass cloth impregnating system. And as petitioner stated, a variance is required to operate the oven in order to operate the fiberglass cloth impregnating system. Operating the damaged burner is estimated to result in excess emissions above permit conditions and Rule 1147 limits. To limit the excess emissions, the district's proposed conditions would limit the amount of fuel that could be fed to the oven per day. Petitioner's petition states the damaged burner may be able to be repaired, or it may need to be replaced. Thus, the district's proposed conditions provide conditions for each of those scenarios. In light of the information provided in the petition and subject to the proposed conditions, the evidence and testimony to be presented today, the district is unopposed to the interim variance request. The district does not plan to affirmatively call witnesses, but witnesses from engineering and from compliance are available if there are any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
The petitioner's first witness is Richard Corrett. Can you state your name, please?
Richard Corrett.
And what is your current employment?
I'm a technical director for Arlen LLC.
Okay, and when you say Arlen LLC, is that the identical entity to EMD Specialty Materials LLC?
That's correct. That's our parent company.
Okay, and briefly describe your job duties as the technical director.
I oversee working with contractors with regards to environmental safety, as well as oversee the maintenance of equipment, facilities, and engineering, process engineering.
Are you personally familiar with the production facility that includes the low NOx burner and the one that we're dealing with today that malfunctioned?
Yes, I'm very familiar.
Okay, can you briefly describe the circumstances of discovery of the malfunctioning of that low NOx burner?
Yeah, it was determined we were source testing the equipment, and we had some issues with the burner not staying on. And the system has 6 burners, and the burners kept shutting off. We did some research into that, found that there were some components that were defective, had the burner manufacturer replace them, and then did some testing of the equipment and found that it still didn't meet the requirements under 1147.
And so the malfunction was not something that you were able to anticipate?
Yeah, it was actual deterioration of the burner.
And can you briefly describe the preventative maintenance and inspection scheme that you have for that oven and those burners?
Yeah, the preventive maintenance program consists of checking igniters, ignition devices, checking UV scanners to make sure that they're operating correctly from that standpoint, and various other subcomponents that make up the burner.
And can you give me a brief chronology of your determination that the burner, the low NOx burner needed to be either repaired or replaced, and when the petition for the interim variance was presented to the district?
So, we tested the burner, source tested the burner on May 1st, and that's when we first encountered the problem with the burners not staying on. We ordered some differential air actuators for the burner. As a result, they came in several weeks later and were installed. Upon retesting of the burner, we found some anomalies with the ovens, and on June 7th, we shut the operation down to pull the burners and do inspections inside the burners themselves. And that's where we determined we had some deterioration of the burner itself, one particular burner itself.
And then was there additional inquiry to see about the possibility of repairing the malfunctioning burner as opposed to replacing it?
Yeah, we took several opportunities to work with the distributor for the burner to do repairs on the burner and the burner nozzles, and did some interim testing with an analyzer during that period as well. And we're continuing to do that today.
And from the time that the oven on the production line with the malfunctioning burner was shut down on June 7th, has that been restarted to the current time?
No, it's been shut down since June 7th.
Okay. And you say that you're continuing to inquire about the potential for either repairing or the need to replace the malfunctioning burner. When do you anticipate that final decision will be made?
The burner is actually set to be tested today, determine if it can meet the requirements for NOx and CO. And upon that information, whether we can pass or not, we'll either continue on to a source test. If it does not pass, then we'll have to order a new burner, which is typically just around a year-long lead time.
And again, that decision is going to be made within the next day or two.
Right, that's correct.
And again, the production line remains shut down as it has been since June 7th.
Correct.
What is the consequence to your business from having that production line shut down?
The financial implications would amount to approximately $8.2 million a year between the production of prepreg for sale and for used in our lamination process. It equates to 50% of our capacity for making these products. And it also has some results for employees that work on that line that are being reassigned to different positions, and then other employees are being eliminated. Temporary employees are being limited.
Would you be able to shift the production at the facility from the line that's shut down to another production line?
Yeah, we've done that, and we started operating it 6 days a week as the consequences, and running it around the clock, but it doesn't stay up with our current demand.
So even with shifting as much production as possible to the second line, the other line, you would have the economic consequences and layoffs and lost sales and inability to meet contractual obligations?
That's correct.
We've got an example of the product that's created, the pre-pregged board that Mr. Collette has. If the board would like to, I don't have 8 copies of it, but we have some examples here for inspection, and
You want to do them?
yeah, why don't you give them that and show them too. So I'll while you're examining that, I'll leave it to Mr. Corrett to describe what it is that you guys are examining.
So the yellow piece of material that you hold is actually prepreg. It's actually what's being impregnated, coated on the coater line. That material goes through a vertical coating line. It goes up 3 Evans and then down 3 Evans. That material is impregnated with polyimide or epoxy onto a fiberglass material. From there, it's either sold as prepreg to do multi-layer laminates used in everything from military applications to aerospace. Typically used in tough applications with high temperature, tough applications for temperatures and for environments. The other was the laminate, which is where the prepreg goes between 2 copper layers. The copper layers is that is a single board. The prepreg is used as the insulator between the 2 copper, and is also used later on to do multi-layering. So they'll make 15 to 30 plies on that laminate with special etching, which you'll see on some of those smaller boards, finished products where customers actually use our boards to make printed circuit boards themselves.
And in as civilian language as possible, what is the ultimate use of the circuit boards?
Our biggest use is for aerospace and military applications. It's our biggest contractual customer. It's also used in at a smaller degree in oil drilling, for special oil drilling, used in the heads of the oil drills, but typically the biggest uses for everything from aerospace to military. For example, Sojourner had our material on it up in Mars. So, and it'd be on a strike fighter, for example.
And these circuit boards, they regulate the flow of current, which is essentially information that's being passed through to things like making sure that the landing gear goes down on time.
Yeah, correct. That's typically chips that are used that are mounted to these boards to measure everything from temperatures to speed and so forth, just communication.
Is the sequence that I would call my next witness, or does the board have?
No, you call the next witness.
Entertain questions. Okay.
As chair, we take 1 witness at a time. I think the district has the opportunity to question the first witness and then the board, and then we go to the next witness. That's the normal procedure. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, that is.
Okay. Fair enough. Mr. Dwyer.
Actually, I do have a few just questions I'm curious about this burner and wanted to ask some more questions about it. About how old is this burner?
It was installed in 2015.
Okay. What's the estimated useful life for a burner like this?
Typical useful life, I don't know the answer to that, but most of our burners last 20 or 30 years.
Okay. Has anyone said what exactly might be wrong with the burner? Like what portion of the burner, what component?
Yeah, when we pulled the burner out, starting and looking at the cone portion of the burner, we could see that there was some damage and warpage in the structure of the actual burner nozzle. And that allowed for situations where air escaped and it didn't operate at fully optimal specification. So that in turn, we started conducting repairs with the distributor of the burner.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Counselor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Questions from the board for Mr. Corrett?
Yes, did you have any questions from the board?
Yeah. Mr. Corrett, since we have the first phase of the hearing is to find good cause.
Mhm.
And one of the finding is you're in violation of a rule. And I think we know that are you a Title V facility? Do you know?
Yes.
Can I speak to that?
No,
Okay.
it's,
We
you
are
can
Title-
defer to him if
We
you-
are Title V
you're a
facility.
Title V, and you're in a violation of a rule 1147.
Sorry.
Actually, if petitioner, Mr. Correct, if you don't know the answer, we can
I
defer
defer that
do
to
that later. Okay,
to
so
all four.
then the second finding is whether the circumstances could have reasonably been avoided, but I think you testified, to that. And you expressed diligence in filing. You have shut down, if not, but are you operating today or going to, you mentioned it, going to test today?
No, we're going to test it today.
Today,
Yeah, no operation.
but then when you say testing.
Testing the
just the
burner
burner.
to see if it meets NOx and CO requirements.
Is there a separate stack for the burner emissions versus the other?
There's an exhaust duct that gets exhausted to an RTO, regenerative thermal oxidizers.
Everything goes through that
Yeah.
stack. Okay. And you touched upon the adverse impact of several millions of dollars. $8 million. Okay.
8.2.
All right. Okay. I think you've answered all my question for good cause. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Mr. Pearman?
So reading the petition on June 8th, you discovered the need for the variance. And it looks like you applied on June 26th. So it just took that long to put the paperwork together, or what was the reason for the 3-week delay, so to speak?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
According to the petition, you discovered on June 8th that you were going to need a variance.
Mm-hmm.
The petition was filed June 26th.
Correct.
So it took 3 weeks to put the petition together, or why that interim delay?
I'll refer that to my gentleman next door.
Okay, we'll wait for him. Thank you.
Any additional questions? All right, Counselor.
Next witness is Bruce Armbruster. Can you state your name?
Yes, Bruce Armbruster, directing consultant with All 4 Environmental.
And what is your participation in reviewing the malfunctioning burner and preparing the petition for interim variance?
Yeah, All 4, our company provides regulatory compliance assistance to AQMD Electronics and Arlon. And so we serve as a consultant to them to help them navigate through various environmental regulatory compliance requirements, including air quality. And so in this case, when they noted that they were having potential issues with the burner, there was a discussion opened up about what would be the appropriate path moving forward if they were to have to continue to operate that oven with the malfunctioning burners. And as noted by Mr. Pearman earlier, that the original discussions began on June 8th after the oven had been shut down on June 7th. But there was hopes in the idea that the burner could be replaced, or excuse me, repaired quickly by the burner operator or by the burner distributor. But as they continued to investigate the burner and the damage that was done to it, those repairs weren't able to be made quickly. And so hence at a later date, they made the decision on June 21st to go ahead and proceed with the variance at that point, because they knew they had to bring that oven back up and operate it in order to offset the economic losses associated with the shutdown of that oven and the loss of business. And so after that, on the 21st, we proceeded with preparing the petition. We had a weekend, and we filed on that Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe, after that weekend.
And again, throughout that period from June 7th to the present, the line, including that burner, has been shut down and not operated.
That is correct.
All right, Mr. Dwyer on cross.
Is there an estimate on the economic cost of shutting down that line for this month-long period?
We haven't looked at that number directly because obviously there's some extenuating impacts also, because as you tend to shut down that line, their existing inventories are depleted and they're not able to fulfill their orders in a timely manner. So there's a direct loss of not being able to fill the orders, but there's also the loss in confidence that could be incurred as a result of clients not receiving their product in time. So nobody's looked at that number specifically to answer your question for the shorter period.
I have no further questions.
Members of the board.
Actually, I'm sorry.
Oh, go right.
Can I jump in? I wasn't quite finished.
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Armbruster.
Go right ahead on direct.
Thank you. have you conferred with district council and engineering staff with respect to developing a set of operating conditions to be in place during the interim variance?
Yeah, you'll see in attachment A that's been presented to the board. There are some proposed conditions that have been drafted through district staff and that we are in agreement with. But one of the important ones that you'll see there is there's a limitation on the fuel use. And that fuel use during this interim variance period will be limited to 0.02 million standard cubic feet per day. What's unique about that is at 0.02 million standard cubic feet per day, using a higher emission factor of 130 pounds per million cubic feet, which is equal to about 102 parts per million NOx, corrected to 3% oxygen. Their daily emissions will be 2.6 pounds. Their potential to emit, based on maximum operation of that oven over 24 hours per day at the 30 ppm limit that's currently permitted in the Title V permit and also as required by Rule 1147, would be 2.84 pounds per day. So in fact, under the conditions of this variance, their emissions will be actually be less than their normal potential to emit.
And one of the conditions, the operating conditions, is to monitor and quantify emissions during the interim period, the interim variance period.
Correct. And at this time, the oven has and will continue to have a non-resettable totalizing fuel meter dedicated to the natural gas fuel line that serves that oven. And they'll be able to take daily readings of that so they can track the daily fuel usage. And then using the 130 pounds per million cubic feet emission factor that has been suggested by the district to calculate what those daily emissions are. But most importantly, they'll be able to track the fuel use to show compliance with that 0.02 million cubic feet per day limit.
Nothing further.
Okay. Just want to be clear, no more questions, right? All right, members of the board. Mr. Balakapalan. Mr. Pierman.
I just had an editorial comment. I know former chairwoman Verdugo Peralta was big on this, but I thought it actually changed the rules for emergency and interim especially to have like a timeline, and we're still not getting them with regularity. So it's something that's being added in the breach, but nothing we can do about it. But I just urge if the clerk ever discusses with applicants or the district council discussing these with some of the petitioners, kind of mention that we would like to have that. It saves time and saves some questioning from us.
It's actually supposed to be on the petition after question number 15, I believe.
Madam Chair, excuse me, Madam Clerk.
Yes, the petition has been corrected and number 16 does give a timeline. And this petitioner did put a timeline in up until, as he stated, the petition was actually filed. I think they give information up through June 18th. But we don't get a separate timeline now since it has been put in the petition, which was, according to us, what the plan was when the general meeting occurred.
Mr. Pierman and members of the board, relative to the comments as stated by the clerk. Mr. Balakapalan.
Oh, I was going to questions on
I just want to be able to close this out because I want to make sure the members of the board there's a measure of sufficient detail provided. What she referenced was on page 6 of 12, number 16. There's a timeline. And are members satisfied with this timeline as presented? Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Booker.
I just wanted to clarify, since June 18th, that you have also gone back to the distributor since then or not?
That is correct. They continue to work with the distributor and they've actually pulled the burners out of the unit. The burners, the way it's configured, they couldn't inspect them without a total shutdown, letting it cool and pulling everything out. And that's where they found the deformation of the burner cone. They found some cracks. They did some welding and they've been, again, continuing to try to make repairs to get it to function properly.
And it's not functioning properly, so are you waiting then for parts that are going to be delivered or?
So there were some additional repairs that were made.
Okay.
And as of today, they're installed the burners and they're hoping to do some testing within the next 2 days. And at this point, they'll be able to make that determination of whether the repairs were successful or they have to move forward with a complete replacement.
Thank you.
Mr. Balakapalan.
Yes, I do have several questions regarding the proposed condition, but I'll reserve it for the merits of the 6 findings. But I'm back to focusing on the interim variance and the finding good cause. So just to clarify, what are the rules that you're in violation of?
Yes, so again, in this case, Rule 1147 under Table 1 includes a NOx limit of 30 or 60 ppm. And then their permit, though, actually requires, 30 ppm for the oven. And then their permit actually has a condition that limits the NOx emissions to 30 ppm for this burner or for this oven. And in fact, when installed, as noted previously in 2015, the burner was source tested at that time, and it did demonstrate compliance with the 30 ppm NOx concentration limit.
And since you're a Title V facility, then 3002 C1 also?
That should be added to it, yes,
Should
also.
be added
Yeah.
to it. Okay. Then let me see. Okay, that's all of the question I had for good cause.
And if I could just state that one of the things that is important to note too is that during the source testing that was conducted on April 30th and May 1st, the intent was to demonstrate compliance with Rule 1147 at that time. We received the results from the source testing company, at least the initial draft results, on June 13th. Those June 13th results included notations that throughout the test, the burners would shut down. The testing results, as measured by the source testing contractor, showed a maximum of close to 44 parts per million NOx, but again, at times it was lower. We don't necessarily believe that those results are representative of the actual burner performance because the burners were shutting on and off during that source test. But as out of an abundance of caution, that's where the company shut down the equipment and said, hey, look, we're not going to operate this knowing that it could be out of compliance with that 30 ppm limit.
However,
Hold on one second. Mr. Balakapalana, you,
Yeah, no, I have enough for the good cause finding.
okay. All right,
I'll reserve the other questions when the next phase.
Ms. Verdugo Peralta.
well, that my concern is when we were looking at the timeline and you're mentioning another date of June 13th, we would have needed that information as well. And so I'm just trying to be as complete as possible on those timelines so that you give us a snapshot of exactly what's been occurring from the get-go. So we can follow along with you and either agree or disagree that you have done it and you've done your due diligence in letting us know and also in filing within a reasonable amount of time.
Understood.
Any additional questions? All right, hearing none. Counselor, closing.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I think the testimony demonstrates that this malfunctioning event occurred suddenly, could not have been reasonably anticipated by the facility, and that the interim variance was filed at the earliest opportunity when they understood that the interim variance was required. With respect to the 6 findings, I believe those have all been demonstrated by the testimony as well as the petition's information itself. Thank you.
Mr. Dwyer.
The district is unopposed, so we have no closing argument here.
Thank you very kindly. Members of the board.
I do believe I can make the finding for good cause to grant to move on for the interim to move on to the interim variance 6 findings. The timeline that they provided, from the testimony, it appeared that they were trying to resolve the issue with the burners and keep testing it, and then when finally when they found out that no, nothing's working, then they applied for the variance. Well, timeline wise, maybe they should have done it a bit sooner, but I think what's on the plus side for them is they're not operating the piece of equipment. So I weigh that the fact that there's no operation of that oven right now until they do the testing for that. So the 4 findings we have to make that is petitioner's violation. So we know they're in violation of 1147, Table 1, the 30 ppm NOx limit, and since the Title 5 3002 C1, the circumstances leading to the violation could not have been avoided or anticipated in sufficient time because there's no notice to the public. So we have to find that diligence in filing. And I think while I believe you might have, based on the timeline, I think you, stretching a little bit, but the fact that you were shut down again, I'll give more weight to that. And so the time, I think you exercise diligence in filing, and the circumstances, I'm sorry, I'm jumping here. The circumstances leading to it could not have been avoided. I think when you did the testing for 1147 and they did the testing, they found out there was some issue that the sources report came back indicating the burners were erratic and they were shutting off and on. So, and then they were trying to shoot it. So they could not have been reasonably avoided in sufficient enough for the public notice. And they exercised diligence in scheduling the hearing once after, I think it's June 18th, currently when everything else, it seemed to indicate they were going to fail. And so then they filed on June 27th for this hearing. And the denial of the will result, I believe, if the amount stated by Mr. Corrett, $8 million, it'll be unreasonable, unavoidable adverse impact to the petitioner. For all those 4 reasons, I do believe I can find good cause to move forward to the hearing for interim variance in absence of notice to the public.
Any additional comments? All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion. In the matter of named facility, which is EMD Specialty Materials LLC, case number 6260-1, facility ID number 194-343. I move that we find good cause pursuant to the comments as articulated by Mr. Balaka Palan to proceed to a hearing for an interim variance in absence of notice to the public based on our discussion and ability to make the findings for good cause. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Verdugo Parada seconds the motion. Any further question or discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Dr. Abraham.
Aye.
Ms. Verdugo Parada.
Aye.
Mr. Palaka-Palan.
Aye.
Mr. Pearman.
Aye.
Ali votes in the affirmative. Aye. Unanimous decision. That matter is now moving forward that case is closed, moving forward to the regular. So at this time, why don't we just take a few minutes break and then we'll come back and we'll wrap this up. We'll do a 10-minute break. At 10:48 a.m. and we'll return back within 10 minutes. Few more minutes. Also, few more seconds.
That important lunch date you have.
Well,
Of course.
It's not too late.
Well, that concludes the hearing. Thank you very much.
exactly. All right, it's 11:01. We're back on the record. Are we recording? Okay. All right. Counselor, the floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Chair, I believe that the testimony that's previously been adduced is sufficient to allow the board to make the required 6 findings under Health and Safety Code Section 42-352. I would also like to note for the record that we do have a hearing on the regular variance scheduled for August 13th.
Thank you, sir. And what we'll do is we'll move the testimony as previously proffered into this particular aspect of the hearing. All right, we're gonna jump over to Mr. Dwyer.
The district doesn't have any witnesses to call affirmatively, but engineering witnesses and compliance witnesses are available to go over any of the conditions if the board members have any questions. And I don't have any further questions for petitioners' witnesses.
Thank you, sir. Any comments or questions from members of the board?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Armbruster, I'll direct it at you and Mr. Corrad, Mr. Armbruster, and then if you can answer, but and this is, I'm really looking at the variance conditions. But what period I actually thought I just saw it. When do you want this variance? How long do you want this variance for? June 1st, 2025, is that what you're asking for? Until for the period of the variance?
Well, that would be for the regular variance. This is the interim and the regular
Yeah.
variance would be the 13th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, that's because of the lead times associated with the burner replacement.
Okay. Let me ask you this question regarding, well, I got several questions, maybe some concerns, really how these conditions are worded. Let me take condition number 1. Did you verify that calculation, 0.02 million standard cubic feet per day?
I did.
Okay. And can you explain how that was derived?
Sure. So the oven itself has 6 burners, each one at 540,000 BTUs each. So a total of about 3.4 million BTUs per hour. And so,
Did you say total?
yes. So there was in the original variance, there is a in the petition, it's off by a factor of 10.
Oh, okay.
That's what's causing your confusion.
Right,
So,
right. Okay, I see. Okay, the 32 it said,
yes,
so it's 3.2?
yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then so based on that 3.2, then that equates to approximately 0.074 again at 100% load. Right. So at 100% load, converting from the BTUs to cubic feet using a factor of 1,050. So you divide the 3.2 million by 1,050, and then that's when you get the 0.074 million standard cubic feet per day, or times 24. And so the maximum potential for this oven to burn fuel based on its maximum heat input rating is 0.074 million standard cubic feet per day.
Okay, let me, okay. That's why I was getting, the 32 was throwing me off.
You were off by a factor of 10.
Factor
yes.
of 10, okay. So, and because otherwise you'll exceed it in 1 hour.
Correct.
The limit, okay. Condition number 4. Using the, now, excess emission, yeah, you in the petition, did you prepare this petition?
We did, yes.
Okay, and then on item 20, it shows how estimated, how to calculate the excess emission.
Correct. And in that there's a factor.
Factor
off
of
by
10,
yes.
right. So it's about one, then the difference of about 1.3 pounds per day, is that,
Well, and then that petition, we used what was measured during the source test that was reported on June 13th,
right?
maximum NOx concentration. And what the district is proposing is to use the 130 pounds per million cubic feet factor, which equates to about 102 parts per million, which is about 2.5 times what was measured. So it's very conservative.
Okay, yeah, okay, but then in the excess, you have to subtract. So what are you using for the?
The 30 ppm.
At 30 ppm.
Correct.
Based on the, so that's, okay. And what was the estimate you had for the excess then?
At that point, well, actually, so let me see, because again, I've got to factor in that. It would have been 1.3 pounds per day.
1.3 pounds per day of NOx.
Yes.
Okay, all right, okay, so the 130 is just for the, not the excess, but the, not the base, but the overage, basically, the actual emissions,
Well, so it's just a difference in emission factor.
different, yeah,
So the district's asserting that in order to calculate excess emissions, because we don't have an approved source test to demonstrate what the actual emissions are, to go to a default emission factor of 130 pounds per million cubic feet,
102 ppm.
102 ppm.
Okay. Now, that brings me to my next question. When you say, I see there's a condition to submit a source test protocol, but I'm hearing from Mr. Corrad and yourself also that there was multiple testing done. Was that done with the protocol?
So the testing that was done on April 30th and May 1st was done with a protocol, and that was, again, intended to satisfy the requirements of Rule 1147.
Right.
And so we're still pending that source test report, but our belief is that source test report is going to show that it doesn't comply based on the preliminary data that we saw.
Sure. So the protocol was, I'm talking about the protocol, not the report.
Right.
So there was a protocol submitted
Approved protocol.
previously, and that was approved.
Correct.
Now, why submit, condition 6 it, submit another protocol?
Again, we probably would be able to use the same protocol. but
Right.
We can go through that process and submit it or show that it was previously approved.
So, I mean, do you see the need for condition number 6 is my question, because you already have a protocol that you're working on that was approved.
Yeah, we could change that, amend that condition to say that the source testing, if the district agrees to it, the source testing will be conducted under the previously approved protocol.
Okay, all right. I'll ask the district up to it. The other question is on the condition 4. It didn't say when you will pay the excess emission fee. Are you, if I were to propose a monthly or would you prefer a quarterly period when to pay the excess emission fee?
I think the quarterly would be easier to manage.
Okay, all right. Okay. I think it'll be better. When did you know that there was a factor of order of 10 there? I mean, why didn't you submit a revised?
It was just over this weekend when I was going through the calculations, I noted it. So again, with the holiday weekend, we lost some time in our ability to, although the district was very good and very timely in getting back to us, it was hard to make contact with people with the holiday.
Okay. Yeah, that would have helped me at least.
Yes, I recognize it.
All right, maybe for the regular variance, you should submit a revised or corrected estimated emission, even though I think based on 40 something ppm,
Right.
based on instead of 102, but if the district wants to use 102, that's,
So during the recess, we went ahead and I had some initial conversations with the district about that, and we'll look at that. We're going to work with staff and we'll amend that appropriately for the regular variance.
For the regular variance, what factor to use?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So then I have no further question for you, Bruce. Thank you.
Any additional questions from members of the board? All right, let the record reflect that there's none. Mr.
I did have a question for
Right ahead, sir.
the district or whether you agree with changing the paying the fees quarterly, excess emission fee.
No objection to that change.
Okay. And then what about the condition on number 6 on the sources protocol? If they can use the previously approved sources protocol, and in fact, eliminating condition number 6 altogether, if they have or some language to the fact they shall use the previously approved protocol.
Do you mind if I check with my
Sure, yeah.
engineering and compliance staff, and then I'll get back to you
Okay.
all? Okay.
So Mr. Dwyer, do you want to take a recess or if we just left it, what harm is it leaving it so we can maximize time? Because I don't really want to take another recess and then we're bumping up against lunch. So is there severe consternation with just leaving it in?
Well, one question would be, I mean, couldn't they just submit that protocol?
Now, there's a process in submitting protocol, there's a fee to pay, there's an approval process. They have to
Eliminate
wait
that.
for a period of time if you submit a protocol. If you already have an approved protocol, just use an approved protocol, that's all. You know, protocol is so I think they can check real quick, 5 minutes.
Okay, so why don't we go ahead and knock 5 minutes off the clock?
5 minutes, yeah.
It's 11:11. We'll come back within 5 minutes.
Okay.
We're off the record. Record at 11:15. Back on the record, 11:15.
So I've had a chance to consult further with district staff about condition 6 and whether we would be okay with striking it completely. I think we would prefer to just revise that condition to state petitioner shall use the previously approved source test protocol. And if petitioner were to change the testing method, then they shall submit a source test protocol for determining if the repaired burner complies with Rule 1147 to South Coast AQMD for review and approval within 90 days of installation.
Petitioner?
Accepted, yes.
All right, members of the board, Madam Chair, excuse me, Madam Clerk, I'm sorry.
Yes, the proposed revision to condition 6 is acceptable to petitioner.
Very well. We're good, Madam Clerk. Mr. Balakaplan, are you copacetic?
Yeah, it's fine. I think they're not going to change the test method, but that's okay. We want to put the language in there, because it's already an established test method for it, so that won't change. But yeah, no, I'm okay with using that.
Okay, any further deliberation from members of the board? All right, let's down to a motion. Who's interested in making the motion?
Did they do closing?
Yes, everybody's good.
But we can go over the 6 findings.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't think,
Yes,
they did the closing? Yeah. Because we were asking questions and then, okay.
We may have done closing for the good cause part
Yeah,
of
not for
the
the-
hearing, but
Yes. Mhm.
okay, so, petitioner?
Yes, thank you. We submit that the testimony is sufficient to allow the board to make the 6 findings set forth in Health and Safety Code 42-352, that the petitioner, number 1, the petitioner is or will be in violation of Rule 1147. 2, that due to conditions beyond reasonable control, the petition requiring compliance would be an arbitrary, unreasonable taking of property, that the petitioner has given consideration to curtailing operations of the source in lieu of obtaining a variance, that during the period of the variance, petitioner will reduce excess emissions to the maximum extent feasible. And finally, number 6, during the period of the variance, the petitioner will monitor or otherwise quantify emissions levels from the source. And that would be part and parcel with complying with the approved and agreed to operating conditions that were previously discussed.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dwyer.
subject to the proposed conditions that we've discussed and have been agreed upon by the parties, the district is unopposed to granting of an interim variance here and has no further comments on or argument. Thank you.
Members of the board.
I think the
Chairman.
testimony clearly shows that they satisfy the requirements for the interim variance and they've approved the conditions they're stipulated to with the amendments we discussed. And I think granting the interim variance or the earlier of 90 days or the regular hearing on this matter, which I think now is tentatively set for August 13, is appropriate.
Any further comments from members of the board relative to deliberation?
I would
Mr. Durgo
concur.
Peralta?
I would concur.
All right, any further comments, Mr. Balakapalan?
No.
All right. No further comments, down to the motion.
You got some comments?
Oh,
Make sure.
I can try to make it.
all right. I will go ahead and make the motion. Oh, did you?
I could try to make it if you want me to. You want me to?
Right.
Let's give it a try.
Let me go.
I'll do it real quick.
Okay. go
In the
ahead.
matter of EMD Specialty Materials LLC Facility ID 194343 regarding case number 6260-1 for the facility located at 9433 Hyssop Drive, Rancho Cucamonga, California 91730 regarding equipment fiberglass cloth impregnating system number 1 consisting of all of the components listed in the petition. Permitted as G65300. We move that we grant this interim variance until the date of the regular variance scheduled August 13th. I move that let's see. And given that the petitioner has met the 6 findings of the Health and Safety Code, we move that we grant the interim variance and the conditions as amended and presented.
Is there a second or any amendments?
Yeah, I just wanted to cite the rules that they, they will be in violation of 3002C1, 203B, and condition, the and 1147, Rule 1147, Table 1.
All right, any additional amendments?
Now, Madam Clerk, did you get what Mr. Dwyer said, the changes or for the condition 6? Okay, all right, then the excess emission, Mr. Abraham, I don't know if you want to approximately for NOx is approximately, they made a mistake in their petition, but
1.3 excess NOx emissions as calculated
yeah, per day.
per day, right?
Okay, yeah,
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Let the record reflect that Dr. Abraham moved the motion. Mr. Balakapalan seconded the motion. It appears there's no further question or discussion on the motion. Hearing none. Dr. Abraham, your vote?
Aye.
Ms. Verdugo-Peralta?
Aye.
Mr. Balakapalan?
Aye.
Mr. Pearman?
Aye.
Ali votes in the affirmative. The matter is unanimous. This case is closed. You guys have a fabulous day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just for the record, was there any public comment relative to this matter?
Currently, there are no members of the public on Zoom with hands raised. And there appears to be no members present in the audience who have given cards to make testimony or public comments
On both cases.
on all cases.
Thank you very kindly for the clearing the record. All right, members of the board, any comments under board member comment? Comments from members of the board? All right, so within the next impending few weeks, we're going to bring forth a revised agenda that has a little bit more detail, moving audience and public comment up, the public comment participation up to the beginning. Of course, we take testimony throughout for each hearing, but just making sure that the public has an opportunity to provide public comment that are pertaining to matters that are not on the agenda and matters that are on the agenda, but they're not testifying. So that'll move to the front of the beginning of the meeting. So we'll put out at a subsequent moment in time a revised agenda. All right, no further questions or comments. We are adjourned at approximately 11:23 a.m.